9-month, 12-day check-in with No Nicotine. Coming at it again with another proper check-in. And starting off with mentally. Mentally, the day was challenging. From the beginning of the day where I realized that my video from last night hadn't uploaded overnight like it was supposed to, I had to express and to implement my mental fortitude and to put it into play. All I did was see it through, knowing that the important part was that the information got out there eventually. Not when it got out there, but the fact that I put the effort into, I put the work into making the video. Mentally, the day was very mentally taxing. It was the fourth day in a row that I have been implementing and delving into a new field of work and reminding myself that mentally I need to stay present no matter what. Because if I'm going to be able to learn, or if I need to learn, the best way I'm going to be able to do that is going to be able to be mentally vulnerable and to be able to experience the present moment mentally. That helped these past 4 days, and especially today, by embracing the fact that no matter what kind of thoughts I'm having, I still have my physical, emotional, and spiritual power and balance to support me at the end of the day. Mentally, if you have a block that comes up mentally and you're like trapped in your mind, you can't stop thinking about something, you gotta tell yourself that you're always going to be having thoughts, but it just matters about how you deal with that, how you react to the situation. And this has been key over the past 4 days when I've been delving into something new and learning a lot, is not allowing it to consume me, not allowing it to mentally consume me, while still being able to balance the other things that I apply my mental state of mind to. So, mental challenges are going to arise, and not everything's going to be smooth sailing mentally. So you need to be there for yourself and to be stepping into your power mentally no matter what. Physically, if I had been very physically challenged today, I would say it was the fact that I was continuously being around people that are common and frequent users of nicotine. And not that it's a bad thing, not that I'm judging anything that I've been through or any of the beings that in recent times and what I'm referencing to, that I'm judging them whatsoever, because these are genuine people. These are good people. And like I said in last night's video, I'm taking it in for what it is. I'm seeing it in a perspective, for the perspective that I need to see it in, and that's just what it is. Mentally, I mean like physically, being in a location around the substance that you're detaching from is not that difficult, but it can become a constant reminder when I'm already constantly reminding myself when I make these videos. So it's almost like, here, you have a challenge here making not that it's challenging making a video, but it's the fact that you're bringing up something that you detach from. But I'm doing this because I'm sacrificing it to spread the awareness and to help teach anyone that's going through anything that I'm going through, for us to have a better understanding and for us to have more knowledge of how to move forward. had I been judgeful and had I been rash, so there's that, and then there's also the factor of me physically being around the substance, and I mean in close proximity. And so that's been a real challenge recently, but I've been able to overcome regardless. I've been able to stay true to myself no matter what, and to continuously balance physically. I know that I hadn't gotten any exercise today except for walking around and doing whatnot. So when I got back, I did do a little bit of laps in the pool. Because at one point, you know what you need. And if physically you're unstable, then you may need to, get active. Do something to stimulate your physical state of being. So try that. And also adding on to mentally, it's physically. I'm sorry, just 1 second here. I have the worst headache right now. Physically making the sacrifice to, like I've talked about in the past, when you travel, spiritual birth. Now when you stop doing something and you continue to stop doing that thing, and you continue to make the decision to not doing that thing, it's physical death. Spiritual birth. So I constantly remind myself to keep making that sacrifice, because even though you don't see where you're being rewarded in the present moment or how you're going to be rewarded in the future, continue on that path regardless, because you're doing it for you. And that's how you're going to change the world around you. Not by trying to change others, but by changing yourself first and then changing the world around you. So physically, remind yourself, and this has actually helped me to remind myself that, hey, if I had taken that hit of nicotine, or I had smoked that vape or smoked that nicotine, whatever it is, 30 minutes late, okay, let me rewind. I smoke it, it feels great, and then 30 minutes later, you wanted it again, or it's out of your system and it's almost as if you never had it. I remind myself of that, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. You don't want that for yourself. So continue to stay on that path regardless. So if you are going to physically make that sacrifice to do something that's really gonna help you grow, something that's going to improve, and something that's going to set you apart from the crowd, then go for it. Spiritually, it is important to note that you can't always, exactly tell what's going on spiritually, primarily because sometimes we are just very involved in the physical world, very involved in our minds, very involved in our emotions, that we need to check in and make sure that we are not out of balance in these parts, because you also need to vitalize your spiritual state of being. And a good way of doing this is to have a spiritual system that works for you, and to be able to implement this in any way possible. And there's no judgment, there's no specific way, there's no way that I can tell you to do it. It's all for everyone to know for themselves. All I can say is that if I'm ever giving up my spiritual power to anything, I am going to retract. I'm going to strongly object as strongly as possible, because I'm always going to put myself in a place where I'm spiritually protected. You know, even if in the past I've done things where I've allowed myself to be in a place where I've gotten spiritually attacked or I've been spiritually vulnerable, that's not going to occur anymore. And I mean vulnerable in a bad way, where you get taken advantage of or you get manipulated. That's not going to happen. So spiritually protect yourself, because there's no knowing what's around the corner. There's no knowing what exactly you're going up against. So just go up against it regardless of what you see externally. Always stay spiritually strong. And also, emotionally. If you are emotionally down, remind yourself that it's only temporary, that you're going to feel this way, and that there's things that you can do to say you're in a cycle of having actions or thoughts, or the path that you're on spiritually is affecting your emotional state in terms of you're either depressed or you're sad or you're having emotional issues, then just know that you are always growing, and you are there for yourself emotionally. You're always there checking in, keeping yourself accountable, and knowing that if I feel a certain way, then I'm going to pay attention to that. I'm not just going to disregard it and sweep it under the mat. No, I'm going to pay attention to it. I'm going to realize why I feel this way. Even if it's difficult, guys, you kind of have to deal with this stuff, because you don't want to be pushing stuff under the rug. You know, I tell you right now, even I do that all the time. Not all the time, but even I do that. No amount of time needs to be labeled on anything. But like I said, don't be so hard on yourself. There's times where we need to grow. We need to grow emotionally, and we need to come to realize that you can't always feel at your best, but what you can do is be there for yourself no matter what. And if you're being there for yourself and your emotional state of being is balanced, then you'll be able to possibly be an anchor for someone else, possibly be an emotional anchor for others. And that's a really inspiring thing. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching my video. This has been the 12-month. Excuse me, guys, I can't even talk. This has been the 9-month and 12-day check-in. Peace.